Hey folks, today I'm going to do a review of a gun that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's one of my favorite guns in my collection. I don't get out and shoot it much, but I love this gun, and it's pretty much stock with the exception of two things. I've changed the grips and I've done an action job on it. But this is my Smith&Wesson Model 28 357 Magnum, and it was bought not by me, but it was bought in 1976. I believe it was March of 1976. The reason I know that is because I've got the paperwork for it. This gun is a sweet shooter. Today I'm only going to shoot it in 38 special, but even with heavy 357 Magnums, it's a sweet shooter. Give you a few specs of this gun. It's an older one. It's a 28-2. It's a -2. Most people think the 28-2 is the best one, kind of like the 29, the 44 Magnum -2. Most people think it's the best one. But this is a 28-2. It's chambered in 357 Magnum. It's an N frame, which means it's built on the same frame as the 44 Magnum. That being said, this thing is like a tank. It will take the hottest 357s you want to put through it. Today I'm not going to shoot 357s through it. I'm going to shoot 38s through it because that's what I had to load up. So I loaded up a bunch of 38s last night, and I'm going to shoot some 158 grain 38s over 4 grains of Winchester 231. And I'm using the Winchester primers. I believe I'm using Missouri bullets. They're hard cast 158 grain, semi-wad cutter. But this gun is an amazing gun. Like I said, it was purchased in March of 1976. So that would have made me 2.5 years old. So this gun's almost as old as I am. I'm a revolver guy. I love revolvers. I used to shoot them all the time. I haven't been able to shoot revolvers that much here lately. And I haven't shot this gun in probably 2 or 3 years. And I wanted to get it out and take it through its paces and show y'all a little about it. Excuse me, I had to dip my mouth. But this is an amazing gun. I'm going to show y'all a few things that kind of lost in semi-auto worlds now. I'm going to show you how to load the thing properly. There's a couple of different ways to do reloads on a revolver. I'm going to show you how I do a reload on a revolver. I'll show you how to grip a revolver. And I'm probably going to show you a drill or so, maybe an old Cooper drill. And let's quit talking and start shooting. All right, let's shoot this thing a little bit, see what kind of accuracy maybe we can get out of it. Let's walk down here and take a look. It's not great. Getting used to it again. It's not great. Let's take a look, see what we got. There you go. That's at about 7 yards. Just getting used to it again. I did have a light strike. I'll let you know that on this one, you might have a light strike from now and again. The reason I say that is I did an action job on it, and the screw that holds the leaf spring in place, I did back it out about 1/4 of a turn. So sometimes when you do that, you'll potentially get a light strike every now and then. I am using fairly hard primers, but we're going to run with it anyway. But I could alleviate that light strike by turning that quarter turn back into the hammer spring. But let's move on to something, and I might show you how to do a few reload drills. All right, I'm going to show you how I reload a revolver. And I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to actually do it in real time and walk you through it while I'm doing it. So we're going to draw and fire 6 shots, reload, fire 6 more shots. First, you want to release the cylinder, and with 2 fingers, you want to flip that cylinder out. Next, you want to tip that muzzle towards the sky, strike your ejector rod. When you strike it, your rounds come out. Then you want to take your rounds in your speed loader, tip the muzzle towards the ground, turn your speed loader, make sure all your rounds are in, close that cylinder, and come back up. There you go. That's how I reload a revolver. So let's do that a couple of times in real speed and see what it looks like. All right, I'm going to shoot 12 rounds in real speed, 6, reload, and then 6. We'll see how it goes. It's not going to be as fast as a semi-automatic. I used to be a lot faster at this when I did it all the time, but I'm probably going to look kind of silly today, but that's all right. Let's try it out. It would help if I loaded my revolver now, wouldn't it? All right, let's try this to see how it goes. 6 and 6. Dang light strike's about to drive me crazy. I'll get home, I'm gonna show you how to fix that. All right, we'll run a old Jeff Cooper drill. Let me show you this drill while we're talking about it. This drill, you got 3 targets spaced out about a yard apart, okay? I'm gonna engage the left target, the middle target, the right target. Then I'm going to reload, and I'm going to engage the left target, the middle target, and the right target. It's a simple drill, but it teaches you a couple of different things. It teaches you recoil control and accuracy. It teaches you transitions, and it teaches you reloads. It also, if you do it right, can teach you to also be able to keep your eyes on your threat, or at least know where your threat is while you're reloading. So if you do everything correctly, it's actually a really good drill. So let's run this a couple of times and see how I can do it. I'm sure I'm not going to do it as good as Cooper did. All right, let's try this out. Dang, light strike's about to drive me crazy. We'll get back to the house. I'm gonna show you how to fix those. All right, shoot it one more time. might look terrible. But I tell you, what it shows is I need to practice with a revolver some more. We'll talk about it a little more here in a second. All right, folks, I'm back at the house. I want to show you this gun up close. And before I do, I'm going to show you, here's the original box that came in. If you'll look, there's all the information on it. Right there. And I'm going to show you, let's look down here. I'll show you some of the these are the original grips. Let's open these up. Let's take a look at them. These are the original grips that came with it. They're in great shape. I took those off. They're the small ones. They're the small ones, you can tell. I took those off and put these shortened carry stocks on there. That way I could carry it. These are actually really nice. They're made by Eagle Grips. There's a square butt. Just like all the old ones, it's a square butt. Which I actually like a square butt. It feels good in my hand. But this is the gun up close. But let's get back here and look at the box. In the box, got all the little paraphernalia that came with it. It's a Highway Patrolman Model 28 revolver. And that's kind of like the owner's manual back in the day. So it's pretty cool. You see Smith&Wesson sold holsters for their revolvers. You got an old swivel uniform style holster. You got a, looks like a, I don't know, maybe a cross draw holster. I can't really tell. And then you got a belt slide holster. I actually still like these. Then you've got the guns that the holsters work with. And you got Smith&Wesson ammunition. Didn't know Smith&Wesson made ammunition, but I guess they did. It's got you got a 158 grain round nose, 158 grain semi-wide cutter at the muzzle is 855 feet per second. I would say that's 38 special. It's not 357. 357 be way higher than that, but that's your ballistics for what they quoted back then. Here's 357 Magnum. Let's see, 357 Magnum, a 125 grain, 1,775 feet per second. I don't know about that. Maybe out of a 6-inch barrel. I don't think it'd be doing it out of this 4-inch barrel. Let's see what else we got in here. 9mm ballistics. Huh, that's pretty cool. Gives you a little bit of the 9mm ballistics back in the day. Remember, this is 1976. Also shows you Smith&Wesson knives. What knives actually look like back then, not what they look like today. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Here's the warranty card. Right, it's not the warranty card, it's the numbers you would call if you had a warranty claim. Now this is what I was going to show you. If you look on here, you've got the model it is 28.2. You've got the serial number, which I don't care if y'all see it or not. Then you got the purchase date, 22nd of March, 1976. So that's a pretty old gun, a place it's purchased. So this is a pretty cool old gun. I don't have the tools that come with it, but you know, it is what it is. But that's just a nice walk back in time. There's a story behind this gun. The old fella I bought it from, maybe someday I'll tell you that story. But it's a pretty cool story from the old fella I bought it from. He's a great guy. But anyway, let's get up close to this gun. This is my Model 28. You can tell it's dirty. Been shooting lead through it. It is a pinned barrel, and the cylinders are, the chambers are recessed. They did that on the older model guns because they thought, one of the reasons they recessed the cylinders is they thought that the pressures were so high that they needed that extra protection to have the cylinder or the case sit down inside the cylinder actually. So that's what they used to do with the old guns. They would pin those barrels like that, and then they would recess those cylinders. I'm going to show you a little something. We'll get my tools out here, I'll show you. I had some light strikes, and that is 100% on me. That's not the ammo's fault. The ammo was loaded properly. It's not the gun's fault. That's my fault, because I did a action job on it, and it's been sitting for a long time. But I loosened the mainspring screw a little too much, but I'll show you how to fix that. Let me get my tools together, then I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, taking the grips off the gun, and you can see, I'll just show you again, it's unloaded. But as you can see, there's a rod. It's not really a rod, it's a spring. It's a piece of spring steel. And this spring goes up and connects to the hammer inside, and it has to have tension on it. Well, this screw right here places tension on this spring, and when you run it all the way in, then it's placed tension on the spring. It's the maximum amount of tension you can put on the spring. Some people will back that screw out, and I did, and I backed it out a little too far. That's why I've got some light strikes. So let me try to tighten that screw up, and I'll show you how easy it is to fix that light strike problem. It's as easy as this. Now, that screw, if you can see, goes into right here. Let me get my pointer out. That screw goes into right here, and it pushes on that spring. It pushes that spring back. It pushes it that way. And what that does, it creates more forward pressure on that hammer. So when you pull that hammer back, it'll send, when that spring is back like that, you pull the trigger, it sends the hammer home even farther. You can see I've got the hammer mounted firing pin on there. Of course, it's an old one. I don't have no stupid lock on it. It's got the old style cylinder release. So it's just a really nice gun. It's dirty right now. I'm gonna clean it, but it's just a really, really nice old gun. The 28 was brought into production because they had the 27, but the 27 was a higher end gun. They wanted an end frame that was more affordable and could be used for like duty use for cops back in the day. So what they did, you'll know the 28 has checkering right up here. A lot of people used to say it's hand checkering. It's not hand checkering. It was done with a machine. But all the top strap up here is checkered on a 28, on a 27, I'm sorry. On a 28, it's smooth. Also, the bluing. The bluing on this is more of a matte bluing, not a high polished bluing. The 27s had a real high polished bluing, almost that of a Python. Not quite, but almost that of a Python. The 28 didn't have that real high polished bluing. It had more of a matte bluing, so that saved them some money right there too. Now the action is the same, even though from what I understand, I can't confirm this, but from what I understand, the 27s had a little more interior work done to them as far as just like polishing goes. But this action, even with me running the spring down, this action is like butter. Now I've gone in there and I've done some action work to it, but this action is just like butter. Double action is good. Single action, of course, just like any Smith, is real good. But that double action pull, if you'll notice, it's just nice and smooth. It's not herky, jerky. When you bring it back to that one point, you'll hear the cylinder lock up. Let's listen. There you go, cylinder locked up right there. And now a little more pressure and it fires. So that's how I do my trigger jobs. I want to hear that final click right there. You find just that small final click, then you know the cylinder is locked. If you'll look at the lock on that cylinder, man, it's tight. And then boom, So excellent gun, love this gun. Just for some people that don't know, I'm going to show just a little basic tutorial on how to clean a revolver real good, and then I'll wrap it up. All right, I'm going to give a little tutorial on how to clean this thing. You don't have to use this breakthrough. I use it, but you can use anything. But one thing I'll do is I'll just start by spraying it down real good. I spray my cylinder good, even on the outside. Spray the outside of it. I roll it around over here, spray the whole outside of it. Then I try to get some down there in the bore. Spray some. I'm going to point out where I'm spraying it. I'm spraying it. This is called your forcing cone, okay, right here. I want to spray my forcing cone to make sure my forcing cone gets clean. Above the forcing cone, there's gases that get emitted. I want to spray up in there. I spray all in through here, spray on the outside of the cylinder. I want to also spray the inside of the cylinders, and then I spray inside there. I also want to spray back in here to get all this area nice and clean. So I'm going to show you. I'll take a little nylon brush, soft bristled nylon brush. I'm going to use this one, it's a little bit softer. First thing I'm going to do is clean the forcing cone off. I'm going to scrub it real good. I'm going to scrub that forcing cone real good. And I'm going to scrub around it on either side. Then I'm going to get my little small part. I'm going to try to get up there above the forcing cone. Right up in there above that forcing cone. Right up in there. I want to get as much grit as I can out of there. Next, I'm going to just lightly go over the outside of the bluing. I don't want to go real hard because this bluing is all intact pretty much. So I'm going to try to go real light over that. Next, I'm going to scrub the front of the cylinder because you do get carbon buildup in the front of the cylinder. If you get too much carbon buildup, it can actually cause your revolver to fail. So, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a minute. But I'll scrub the front, I'll scrub the back of the cylinder, not going terribly hard. Another area you need to look at when you're doing it is under the ejector star. So I want to clean all up under there, up under the ejector star. If you get stuff up under that ejector star, it can actually cause it to fail as well. So now I'm going to get me a couple of patches. I'm going to go on the outside here. I'm going to start wiping it down. Wipe it down real good and get it all nice and dry. Another area you need to look at is back in here where all your lock work is. Clean that out real good and clean that top strap off. Just clean that top strap off. Now I'll take a patch and I run it as far as I can on top, in between the forcing cone and the top strap. I try to get a patch up in there and rub that real good. Now I'm going to try to clean off the forcing cone. Wipe all this down, get it all nice and clean. Like that. Now, I'm not doing a real detailed cleaning of it. I just want to clean it before I put it up because I know it's going to be a while before I shoot it again. I'm just wanting to clean it before I put it up. I'm going to get in here, clean that lower portion off, get it all nice and clean. Now I'm going to get me a dry patch. I'm going to clean my cylinder off. Clean that cylinder pretty good. Get all of that cleaner off there. I'm going to clean the front of it. Just spin it while I'm cleaning it. Clean my ejector rod off. Now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to clean the back of it off. Then I'm going to raise my ejector star. I'm going to clean up under it. Now, there's some areas where if you have a revolver, people will tell you revolvers don't malfunction, but revolvers do malfunction. Even factory revolvers with full powered springs and everything, they'll still malfunction. One area that a revolver can malfunction is if you get any type of trash underneath that cylinder star. If you get some trash under there, it can cause that cylinder, that ejector rod, not to fully go back down, and it will prevent your gun from being able to close. Because if it keeps your ejector star up like that, your gun won't close. Another area where if you get a lot of carbon buildup on that forcing cone right there, then you get carbon buildup in the front right here, it can cause your gun, you could probably get it closed, but it'll drag really heavy when you go to turn that trigger. So make sure you get those two areas real clean. I'm gonna go ahead and clean all this off. And that should be good. Now I'm gonna wipe the hammer down. Gonna wipe the exterior down. Now, I've already sprayed stuff in the cylinders and in the chamber. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna clean the chambers and the cylinders out. Now, you might have noticed there was a couple of times where I would put rounds in the gun and they wouldn't fall all the way into the chamber. I would have to push them into the chamber. That's because this gun hasn't been cleaned in forever, and I had carbon buildup in those chambers. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get me a little brush. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna clean these chambers out real good. Just scrub them real good. Nice. Just like that. I'm gonna get all 6 chambers. I want them all nice and clean. Now, one thing you don't want to do is shoot 38s and then start shooting 357s, because you'll get a little powder line there. If I'm going to shoot 357s, I shoot them first, and then I go back and I shoot the 38s last. Those 38s are shorter than the 357s. There's 38s, let's just say, are that long, and 357s are that long. You'll get a little powder line in there where your rounds won't want to seat real good if you shoot 38s first. So I'll usually shoot my 357s first, and then I'll go back and shoot my 38s last, which I didn't shoot 357s today. I only shot 38s, so it doesn't really matter. So now you have to clean from the muzzle end on a revolver. You can't clean from the chamber end. And also, that holster I was using today, I don't use that holster a lot unless I'm going out to do what I did today. I usually use a leather holster. But anyway, I can't remember if this is a Jag for a 357 or for a larger caliber. It's a larger caliber, it's a 45. So I'm gonna put my little patch tip on here, and I'm gonna run some patches through and clean out all this carbon that I just scrubbed loose. So I'm gonna start with the cylinders, run all the way through and back, run all the way through and back, run all the way through and back, all 6 cylinders. And I'll probably get me a clean patch and go back and do it again. Now, since I rotated it one way on the first pass, I'll rotate it the other way on the second pass. That way I have a clean patch where I'll show you what I'm talking about. I rotated it this way to begin with. Now I'm gonna rotate it that way on the way back. You don't have to, but I do. Run that patch through there, get it all nice and clean. Now we're done. Now we're done with that. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna run my patch down the bore. Oh yeah, it's been a while since I cleaned this thing. It's nasty. I'm gonna get me a clean patch. I'm gonna run it down the bore. There we go. And we'll see how clean it is now. Oh yeah, much better, much better, much better. Now, one last time, I'm gonna wipe everything down. Then I'm gonna lube it up. Before I store this gun, I'll always lube it up because I like to have a nice thin coat of oil on it. You know, as I said, thin coat of oil on it, not gobbed in oil. And before I put it away. But I don't have all the carbon off of it, but I've got most of the carbon off of it. And we're gonna get it lubed up good, and then we'll put it away until I'm ready to shoot it here in another year or so. Who knows, I might take it out and shoot it some more. But the bluing is pretty good on this gun. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I mean, heck, the gun's 30-some or 40-some years old. 44 years old almost. So bluing's not perfect, but it is really good. Wipe all this down. Get up in there. Up in there. Now I'm ready to put a little lube on it. I'm gonna get me some lube, put on here. Put me a little dab on there. Put me a little dab. Little dab, little dab. I always like to have some on my ejector rod. It makes that ejector rod run smoother too. I'll even put me a little lube right in here on the back side of that ejector rod. Make sure it runs nice and smooth. I'll put me a little lube down in here where everything rotates. You know, it is metal on metal, so I like to have a little lube in there. And I'll go ahead and spread some of this around. I'm just gonna spread it around with my finger. Once I get done, I'll wipe it down some, but this is not nitron coated or anything like that. This is blued steel, so you do need a little bit of oil on there to keep rust at hand or at bay. So get all of this lubed up, put it on there. I even get some on the grips, I don't care. I'm gonna close that. I'll put a little lube on this side. Rub that in real good. Rub it in. Come on back here, get it all over the sides. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a little bit of lube on here, so it'll leave some oil behind, but it'll also take the most of it off. So now I'm gonna wipe it all down, get it all nice and coated with a nice thin layer of oil, and this thing will be ready to go back into the safe. I'm telling you, these old guns, man, it's like stepping back in history shooting these things. I love them, love them. Used to shoot revolvers all the time, worked on them a lot, did my own action jobs. Now this one wasn't for a defensive role, so this was more of a target gun, so I did a little bit lighter trigger than I should have on it. But when you shot it in single action, it always fired. Double action is where it would skip every once in a while, but now by running that down, I won't have any problems with it because it's a factory spring. Get everything nice and coated in there. We won't ever have any problems. Now, I'm gonna take this patch that I had oil on and put a little more oil on it. And I'm gonna run it through the bore and get that bore nice and lubed. And that way I don't have to worry about rust down in the bore of the gun or in the chambers, the cylinder chambers. So I'm gonna run that through there, get it all nice and coated up. Then I'm gonna run some through here, run some through here, all 6 chambers. That way I don't have to worry about any rust forming inside of them. A lot of people forget about those, but those need a little lube on them too. And I can promise you, first time you shoot this thing, once it's been sitting, you ain't gonna have to worry about rust in there. So now we're done. I'm gonna wipe my fingers off and close this thing up. Now, is that not a good looking piece of history right there? Maybe someday I'll tell you the story behind this gun, but that is just a good looking gun. Good looking gun. Love that 4-inch barrel on that beefy end frame. So hope y'all enjoyed this. I know I was just randomly talking throughout most of the video, but that's okay. I like to do that sometimes. But if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Check out my buddy over at Downrange Hat Company. That's where I got this hat from. It's downrangehatcompany.com. Check that out. And he can do about any hat you want. He can do large orders, small orders. He can do almost any design you want. So check him out over there. And thank you for watching.